Hello and welcome back to the All of Us podcast. My name is Nathaniel Tavares, your host, keynote speaker, and school shooting survivor. This show is more than just telling stories of survival. It's about bringing together real people, real stories from all across the nation, all to create real change. Here we go beyond the headline. We talk about the human side, the struggles, the ideas, and the action that can help to move us forward. Our mission is simple yet urgent, and it's to start the conversations that can bring together real stories and real people that can help to end gun violence in schools and communities across America, and to give listeners the tools and resources to be part of that change. Every conversation you hear is different, but all serve the same purpose. A movement where all of us have a role to play in creating safer spaces for the next generation. If you haven't yet ordered your copy of my book in the blink of an eye, feel free to find that on Amazon or my website at www.nathanielspeaks.com. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the All of Us podcast. Today, we have a super, super special guest with us here who was actually somebody that was there with me in the gym the day of the shooting. It was a pretty crazy day because not only was I physically impacted as well as another student, but students like Amber Luna here really got to see everything from a visual perspective. Like they heard it, they seen it, and it was just a quite undescribable experience for a lot of people. And so, with that, again, we have Amber Luna here to give us some insight on what her perspective was like that day in the gym, and really everything that we can gain, her insight, her knowledge, and just overall thoughts about what it looks like to have experienced something like that, seeing it from her perspective. So we're going to go ahead and get started with our questions. And yeah, so Amber, whenever it came to how I first moved to Berrendo, uh, and of course started making friends, do you remember exactly how you and I met?
I think we were just in class together and we just knocked it off right away. Like it was like we've known each other forever, but it's just like I don't know, it was just weird. Like it was just like we just became best friends instantly. Like
For sure. Oh yeah, and we always like to think back to whenever we used to get in trouble all the time because we wouldn't stop talking to each other in class. And oh my gosh, all we would do was laugh.
I think there was a point that they made us sit separate from each other. Like one of us had to sit in the
Always.
front of the classroom and one of us had to sit in the back because like they couldn't ever stop us from talking.
Yeah. If we the two of us got in trouble for anything, it was always for the fact that we were being obnoxious in the back of the classroom. So they always had to separate us. But yeah, so anyway, as we start moving forward, let's look back at that day. Uh, what specific things do you remember leading up to the day of the shooting?
I just remember we were on winter break. Um, And then we were supposed to go back that Monday, but then there was the water leak,
Oh,
the
right.
where it froze, and so they canceled school because you can't go to school with no water.
Right, right.
But I just remember, yeah, just getting off of winter break, and then I was all happy because we didn't have school on Monday, so it was like a little longer of a break for us. And then finally went back Tuesday. Instead of going outside into the field, we went to the gym instead. And it was just like, it was different. Like, it was just a different feeling.
For sure.
It just felt weird.
Oh yeah, no, I agree with that. Because I remember that morning, I had actually woke up with like a stomach ache. Uh, I came in here actually, sat right there, cereal and the normal morning routine, right? Like as we get back to school. Uh, and my thing was like, okay, am I sick? Do I need to stay home? Uh, just right that morning. of course, walked out the door, headed to the bus stop, and then I was fine. Like after took my shower, did my normal morning routine, I was fine. So I'm curious, like from your perspective, was there anything that particular morning that like seemed different to you or didn't feel right?
So from what I do remember, I remember the bus was running a little late that day. It wasn't exactly on time as it usually was. And so I just remember getting on the bus, and on the way to the bus, it just felt off. It just felt, I don't know, it was just weird. Like, I just didn't feel like it was going to be a good day. I woke up not really feeling it. I was like, I don't want to go to school. I didn't even get ready that day. Like, I have a picture of me from that day, and like, I look like a hot mess. So I was like, what is wrong with me? I did not get ready. My hair was not done, nothing. Like, was not feeling it that day.
From what it seems like from a lot of people's perspective too, that was kind of a similar thing of like, I just didn't feel like going to school that day. I wanted another day of break because it's
Yes.
sometimes, especially for a lot of students, right? It's kind of hard to go back to school after having that long off. It's like,
Yeah.
no, no, let us stay home or
Yeah, I was kind of hoping that the water break hadn't been resolved yet. Like maybe we could have just stayed home another day.
Uh, yeah, yeah, that would have been nice. On top of the fact that it potentially could have avoided this whole situation,
Yes.
but who knows? Because I remember back, like a side tangent, whenever we were finding out things like from court hearing during the sentencing, uh, that Monday, like you were saying that we were supposed to return back, that was actually the day the shooter was planning to go into first period class, take the 9mm pistol at first, and shoot the actual like person he was targeting. And then, being that school was canceled that day, his plan was to take the knife and do the same thing, go to that first period class, stab the bully in the back, and verbatim, it was like get him to turn around and then slice his throat to watch him die and suffer. And I was just like, what in the world? But then that same day, he ended up finding the shotgun, with the ammunition he needed, and then realized the fact, like, oh, we're going to be going into, as opposed to going to our first period class. So now his worry was like, okay, can't go straight to first period class because nobody's going to be there. And now that we're going into the big gym, I'm not going to have enough time to find who I'm trying to target. So went to the big gym, fired those three random shots, and then of course, uh, myself and another student were hit. And so that's just crazy to look back on. But anyways, looking back for me too, I remember I had just at the gym, seen y'all at the bottom of the bleachers, like all of our crew that we always hung out with, and sat down. We were having good conversation and whatnot, as always. And then it was like from 1 second to the next, I'm on the ground, can't see anything. And so I'm curious from your perspective, whenever it came to like understanding what actually happened, at what point were you aware of the, like, okay, something bad is going on and to like get to safety?
Um, so I don't really remember. Like I do remember, but don't remember. I just remember running. Like I just remember hearing like loud bangs. It was just like really loud, and like I just remember looking up and just seeing everybody running. So I just instantly just got up and took off running. Like,
Okay.
and I was just, it was just weird. Like, why are we running? But there was like those loud bangs that were like, what's going on? Like, what happened? And like, it didn't really hit me until like over the intercom. They're like, we're on lockdown. Like, get to a classroom. Like, yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
get in.
And just kind of like trusting your instinct too, right?
Yes.
Uh, hearing everything, people screaming,
Yes.
uh, trying to figure out what's going on, but at the same time, like, who knows? So, like, now y'all are at the point where y'all are in lockdown, still trying to figure out, like, what in the world just happened. Um, People still, like, understandably causing chaos. Everybody's panicking, like a whole different type of situation. So, like, what were your thoughts in those moments throughout that lockdown?
I was scared. I do remember asking, "Where's Nini's? Where's Nini's?" Because he was right behind me. Because when we got to the gym, when you got there, we always sat next to each other. No matter what the situation was, I don't care who was sitting next to you, I made them move because you were my best friend. No one was going to sit next to you. So I just remember always sitting next to you, not letting anyone. And then, so I just remember getting up, running, and I was wondering, like, where's Nini's? Like, he's not behind me. He's not with me. He was right next to me. Where is Nini's? Like, and I just kept asking everybody around me, like, where's Nathaniel? Like, and so I was just like so scared, like, where's Nini's? Like, he was supposed to be right next to me.
Yeah,
And then just remember running to a classroom. It was just, and wondering where you were. It was just a scary moment.
So throughout that duration of time, or because I believe even after the lockdown, they had taken y'all over to the mall, right? That was like the meetup place for parents.
Yes.
Um, and so throughout that duration of time, was there any specific moment, or even after that, that you were notified, like, hey, it was Nathaniel that was shot?
When we were in the classroom, I remember, I think one of the students mentioned it was Nathaniel. Nathaniel was on the floor. And I was like, no, he was right behind me. Like, he was right next to me. Like, you're lying. And yeah, I just remember him saying, no, it was Nathaniel in the classroom that we were hiding in. I still remember which classroom it was. It was the science one
Oh yeah.
in the seventh grade hall. And I still, that's where I hid. And I hid under, you know how like the little stations were?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Well, I hid under one of the stations.
Okay.
And I just remember hiding under there. And I was next to one of another student. And they had mentioned it was you. And I was like, that's not true. Like, I didn't believe them. And so it was just, it was scary because they told me it was you. And I just remember crying and saying, no, it wasn't him.
Yeah. I could only imagine that experience was like, because thankfully, from my perspective, like I didn't have to see that from a visual perspective because interestingly enough, like I was completely blinded as soon as it happened, right? So I mean, thank God for the fact of an adrenaline rush because I didn't feel any of it. Uh, the the panic wasn't necessarily settling in because I mean I had thoughts running through my head of like, um, okay, did I just fall over and hit my head and knock myself out? Like that's embarrassing. Uh, And then once I heard like those loud banging sounds that you were explaining, um, my instinct drove me to the thought of like, okay, the school just blew up. There is tons of people injured. Like I need to get up and help in any way that I possibly can, even though I can't see anything. Uh, and so, yeah, I can only imagine what you and all the other students who actually had to see and experience like that whole element of it, whether it be the people who actually seen me from a physical perspective, like down on the floor injured, uh, or just the overall experience in itself, right? Yeah, so that's huge when it comes to bringing insight to people who like thankfully haven't had to experience something like that.
Yeah.
Now, from like what you've experienced yourself all throughout that day, what is your perspective? Like, how do you see things related to school and safety and really just overall life now?
So I'm very cautious now. Like coming to school after the shooting, I was not up for it. I didn't want to go to school. I started skipping a lot. I was always thinking that I was sick. I was scared of school. I was scared to go. I was scared like something was gonna happen again. And I skipped school so much that I ended up a semester behind and didn't get to graduate with my class because I just did not want to go to school. I was not okay with it. I just did not feel the same about school. Um, Now thinking back, it's like if I'm around the weapon, I get terrified. Um, I work at a hospital, and we've had incidents where angry patients come in, um, and I freak out right away. and I'm very cautious. I don't, even if it's just a knife with them, I'm like, no, we can't have that. I call security right away. Anything like, I'm very cautious with stuff like that now.
Oh yeah, understandably, because like you never know these days.
You
I-
don't.
it's like anything can happen anywhere, and like we used to say that all the time back then too. That, oh, anything can happen anywhere. But then now in the modern day, it's like even more real than ever has been.
Yeah.
People go to, of course, school. They go to church, shopping centers. I mean, you name it, and you're. It's almost like you're not safe anywhere, right?
Really, like,
Yeah,
you can't trust. You could just walk out your front door and something happen. And just the way the world is coming to,
for
and it's
sure.
scary.
Oh yeah. Right. Yeah. So now, as we look into from like a community perspective, right? Um, how do you feel the community was like in the days following that, as far as like the fear, the grief, the panic? What did that look like?
I feel like everyone was just like in disbelief because we come from a small town, and who would have ever thought of a school shooting here in Roswell? Like, it's just such a small town. No one. I think it just hit everybody by shock because I don't think anyone ever expected that. So,
Yeah, and I remember hearing too, like maybe a week after the incident. I think there was a school that came to visit y'all there at Berrendo,
yes,
Arapahoe.
yes, I believe it was Arapahoe. We actually met up at the convention center.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so they came and spoke to us at the convention center about the school shooting. I feel like it didn't just affect our community in this town. It went elsewhere. Like everybody heard about it.
oh yeah,
And I believe just because we were a small town and no one expected that from a small town.
for sure. Yeah, because I think this was one instance in particular where it made like national news. Because I mean, back in 2014, school shootings were still happening, unfortunately, but they were like nothing close to what they are now.
Yeah.
And like you said, small town. I remember seeing like news reports on, I mean, worldwide news. Uh, of course, years later, somebody had reached out to me from like another country saying that they had heard about it, uh, and just like seeing what all happened after the fact, and like in the aftermath. So yeah, I mean, it's crazy to think how whether it be a small town like Roswell, or even a big town like up in Nashville, Tennessee. This can literally happen anywhere, no matter what state you're in, city, uh, location. Yeah, so it's just crazy to think about it from that perspective. Now, as we get into more of like the healing perspective, uh, what was it for you that helped you kind of get into that space of healing, whether it be like your faith or um, maybe some certain people? What was it for you that helped you get into that phase of healing?
Um, I couldn't have done it without my family. My family was very, they were there to comfort me. My family, and God, of course. God, just praying to Him. It was a big thing. But yes, God and my family, just my family, my mom, my dad, my sister, my grandma, which is no longer here. She was there for me, and just made sure I was okay, and was always there to comfort me and be there. And so, thankfully for them, they helped me get through a lot of it.
For sure. Oh yeah. And when it comes to faith, that's like the foundation of it too, right? Uh, because God provided us this family. Um, just the fact of like helping guide us through every part of that healing.
Yes.
Uh, even now until this day, right? Like I still come across times when, we're out and about, we go to a concert, something like that, and it's like, okay, the emergency exits, they're right here. There's security guards, they're there and there. Um, just like a new practice that we've shifted into uh, from that perspective of like ensuring that we have that safety, right? So thankfully, uh, we just have a God who provides certain things like that. On top of the fact that we get into a space where there's like pretty much none of that around. There's no exit signs. There's no or anything like that. But we also don't get to see what's actually happening in the spiritual realm, right? Uh, because there's certain things like one day you're running late, and all of a sudden, once you finally get yourself to go where you're going, you realize like if I would have left the house at that time that I was planning to, I could have been in that accident,
Yeah.
or different little things like that. And it's crazy because again, we don't see it, but then you realize the fact like God was literally there providing that shield, and I didn't even know it.
Yeah.
Uh, so it's cool to see things from like both the seen and the unseen.
Yes, because God does do a lot of things, and like you don't realize what He stops things from happening. Um, like I do wonder that Monday, if we would have had school, what would have been the outcome? Would more students would have got hurt, or what could have happened? You wonder why God did it. But there's always a reason to what He does. Um, just a few weeks ago, I was leaving to Kansas to go see my brother. My first road trip that long by myself, and things just kept happening. I didn't leave at the time I was supposed to. Um, my mom was sleeping; she didn't want to wake up, and I wanted to tell her bye before I left. It just kept on, like stuff just kept happening to where it delayed my time of leaving. Well, I finally got on the road. Um, and when I got on the road, I was like 10 minutes out and I got a flat tire.
Oh wow.
And I'm like, what would have happened if I would have left on time and I got this flat on the way farther out? What would have happened? Would I be speeding? Would I be the car flip? Anything? And I just thank God because He delayed it. I was so mad because why is all this happening? Why am I so late? Why? Like, I was mad. But then God brought it to her. Like, He did it for a reason. Like, there was a reason why He delayed the time.
Oh yeah, for sure. That makes a lot of sense. And like I said, I mean, we never see that stuff, and I can completely relate to like, I'm running late. Oh, why does this keep happening? Whatever. But there's definitely always a reason that everything happens. So that's just cool to see the glimpse into to what that might look like. All these years, we've thankfully have stayed connected and going out to lunch and dinner. And what else we get
Remember, we went to the
ourselves?
gym every day and it did not stick. We were
Yeah.
supposed to be so fit.
Yeah, we were those gym sessions were quite tough, but then
In my
go
little red car that the window wouldn't even roll up all the way on your side.
uh we'd make sure to have our food sessions after that though.
Go to Buffalo Wild Wings.
Yeah, like hey, we earned it.
We earned it. Let's go eat.
Those are the times. But yeah, so like after the incident, as we both started like processing, how do you feel like our friendship evolved like from that particular incident?
I feel like it made our friendship stronger. Um, I feel like I will forever have a friend with you. Like I always say, I always tell my mom, like Nathaniel's my best friend. Like no one's gonna ever stop him from being my best friend. Like we've gone through challenges together, um, to the point where I did lose you, but thankfully you're still here. Thanks to the God you're still here. But it was scary knowing that I almost lost one of my best friends, and that just made like my love for you stronger because you're so strong, and like it just makes me feel good to have a friend like that.
Whenever you saw me recovering and throughout that time in the hospital and after, and then even going back to school, and then now fast forward what 10, 11 years. I've been speaking for a few years now. Uh, now we have the podcast going, wrote a book, like world. Uh, what has something like that done for you personally as someone who witnessed this incident?
It shows that, like, no matter the situation, like, you fought through and you're a fighter, and that you could get through anything. Um, I'm sure you still have your struggles, but I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of the things you have accomplished. It makes me want to be you. I want to be you when I'm big. um, because you're so strong, and I wouldn't imagine what you go through like on a daily basis. And just seeing that you've accomplished all this, and because you could have easily turned into a different situation, you could have easily turned life into, I don't want to be here. Like, why did I survive that? Like, you could have made your life a whole different situation, but instead of that, you made a better income of it. Like, you're doing so well for yourself, and I'm so proud of you. That's all I gotta say.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Which it's always cool to hear stuff like that too, because thankfully, with my faith, the support I have from my family, and like all of my friends, you, uh, I mean that's what helped me from the start of like immediately as soon as I woke up in the hospital. That was my first thought, like forgiveness, love, and continuing to be who I've always been. Like it wasn't my intention to ever change who I was, which I'm thankful for because like you said, I mean, I could have been to the point where like, why did this happen? A lot of people, whenever I hear their stories, they have a lot of problems understanding like why this happened, and uh, it kind of turns them away from God a lot, because they're like, God, you had control over this. Like, why did you let this happen to me? But then reiterating, like you said, everything happens for a reason, and if somebody else would have experienced what I did, they were the victim as opposed to myself, would they have had that same insight? Um, if somebody else would have experienced that, being a victim of the shooting, would they have been somebody who carried out a mission like that, going to speak about it or anything like that? So it's always cool to hear how people perceive that, just because of the fact that it makes me regain that sense of knowing, okay, I'm right where I'm supposed to be, and I'm doing what I'm being called to do. Um, yeah, so that's huge for sure.
And you were still the same personality before the shooting happened. You're still calling me Hammer all the time. I remember just being in the hallways, Hammer, and it was just always funny. It was like, it's just, but you're still the same personality, and we still have that same friendship that we had before the shooting happened.
Oh yeah, for sure. And, super thankful for that because one of my biggest challenges, like whenever I went back to school, was of course my vision, right? Like I fully blind in this eye. Back then, oh my gosh, my vision was even more awful than it is today in this eye, and so like I couldn't tell who anybody was. I would walk by them, and back then I would recognize people by their voice. And you too, like of course I know your voice, right? I've known your voice for a long time, but some people would come up to me and be like, "Hey, it's whoever," uh, and that was a huge thing for me too, right? Because they understood like my vision, and I couldn't see who they were. But them telling me, then I was like, "Okay, now let's have a conversation because I know who you are," and I'm not just like, "Oh, who was that?" So that was huge.
I feel like you always knew it was me because I would always come up from behind you and hug you, and you would always
Yeah.
get scared, but I would always do that. And like, it's just like, oh, it's Amber again. Like, I remember when we went to Goddard together, I do remember walking you to class.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Uh, I would always be helping you, just always be there with you. Still in high school, it
For
was
sure.
nice.
Oh yeah. Those were those were definitely the good days. Now, as we start moving to the close of this podcast, uh, what is a message you would give to people who have survived something similar to what we went through? And really just their families, what message would you like to share with them?
Um, I would like to say, like, no matter the situation, just always trust in God. God's gonna be your biggest person to be there for you. Um, you will forever struggle. It's not something that's gonna go away. It's never gonna go away. You're always gonna be reminded of it. There's little things that will always trigger it, but in those moments, just pray to God. And for family, be supportive, be there, be active in their life, and let them know everything's gonna be okay. And just always trust in God. That's the main thing,
Oh
because
yeah.
God's always gonna be there, no matter the situation.
Kind of similar to that, what would you like to say to people who haven't experienced something like this? Like they don't have a family member who's experienced it, they themselves haven't experienced it. So what message do you have for somebody who has never seen or witnessed or experienced gun violence before?
I say if you see someone struggling with a situation, say a gun's being pulled out, and you laugh at them or anything, you don't know what they've been through. You don't know what their past was about. You don't know what had happened in their life. So don't ever judge a book by its cover. Don't ever judge them. Don't ever just don't ever be rude about it, because you never know when it could happen to you or someone, one of your loved ones. You never know what's gonna happen.
So now, if you could go back to that specific day and tell your younger self something, what would you tell her?
Everything's gonna be okay. Um, we're gonna get through this, and just be strong, and um, don't let nothing bother you. Like, it's gonna be okay.
I definitely don't know what I would have told myself aside from the fact of, okay, you're here in this moment. You don't know what's going to happen next, but trust that God is in control. Because I knew, thankfully, throughout that whole that everything was going to be okay no matter what. And thankfully, I didn't have to panic because, like, there was no reason to. I didn't know I was going to do what I do today, but I did know that there was a purpose for why I came back, and yeah, ready to move on and really just get everybody ready for the future. Ready in the sense of increasing safety, focusing on things like mental wellness, especially anti-bullying, right? Because whenever we're kids, we tend to have little arguments with each other. You're a whatever. Because we're back then, and kids nowadays, half the time they don't know what they're saying. Uh, and for those kids that do know what they're saying, they don't really impact it's having on the other person that they're saying that to, right? So like definitely fixing things like anti-bullying, helping to prevent so much divide. Like why do we need to go and make this person feel less than just because you want to feel cool? Like how do you think that makes you look cool?
And I feel like a lot of times those people that are doing the bullying are not happy with themselves.
Oh yeah.
They're not happy with the way they're. Maybe there's something going on at their house, and they don't want to show that they're down. So they want to put other people down instead of feeling it for themselves. If they feeling down, they want everyone else to feel the same way as them.
So specifically from that day, like what is something you would want people to remember from our incident in particular, not just as tragedy, but more as something that we can learn for all of us?
I would say just don't ever think that nothing could happen to you. Because still to this day, it could always happen again, which I would pray it doesn't. I don't wish that on anybody. And there is ways to prevent that. We should put more security into our schools to protect the children. Um, we've, and most importantly, I feel like we need to bring God back into the schools, because nowadays God isn't in our schools, and we need that back. Um, A lot of people believe in believers, but there is those people that, well, me personally, I believe God is our like savior, and we need him in our schools. We need the safety of him. But we also need the safety of more security, more um, precautions of to prevent stuff like this happening again.
What is something you feel like our listeners should take away from your perspective in particular?
I feel like we people should not look at us like we're so like scared of everything. Like we have a reason why we feel this way. There's a reason why we are so cautious with everything. There's a reason why we're speaking out about this because like you shouldn't judge us, and if you see us overreacting, don't sit there and tell us, "Oh, calm down." Like you're overreacting because there's our story that there's a reason why we react the way we do. And they shouldn't judge us by the way we react because it's just like a natural instinct to us now. So they should never just assume that we're overreacting because there's a reason why we feel that way.
The same thing too, right? Because whenever it comes to like why we're doing a podcast, why did I write that book? Uh, why am I trying to start a student organization? Schools, hopefully, all across America. Uh, and it's because exactly we never ever want anybody to experience what we had to go through. Uh, and now today, like who knows how many school shootings that are there've already been this school year that just started back a couple months ago. We're seeing a trend to where there's like record high years of gun violence in schools, which comes with the fact of record high numbers of students and staff killed, record high numbers of students and staff injured, as well as record high numbers of kids who had to witness this with their own eyes. You sharing your perspective like that with us today helps us to see the fact of like now we can understand why people like you come out and step forward, step out and share your insight because that's the intention. Like you said, you don't wish that on anybody. And just like everybody else that does similar things like we do, they don't want anybody to experience similar things to them either, right? As we bring on close down, huge thank you, Amber, for being with us today, sharing your insight, and really just helping us to build a better tomorrow for the next generation and truly bring all of us together.
Thank you for bringing me onto this podcast and letting me share my part of the story we went through together.
Thank you all again for tuning in with us today. We'll see you next week on the All of Us podcast.